What's going on, my people? Happy Wednesday. Hope the day going well. Not gonna take too much time. Lord put it on me to share today. Uh, as I was reading this week, um, me and my lady, we tapping into Romans 4. If you're familiar, put in the comments, what the passage mean to you, what you took from the passage, or if you're not familiar, we're gonna talk a little bit about it today. Pretty much in Romans 4 in particular, you got them mentioning a little bit about Abraham being justified by the faith. You also got the mention of Abraham's circumcision, and how with that, when he was circumcised and uncircumcised during that time, where the Lord came to him about the promise for being a father of many nations. Just the context and the importance of when he came to him, and how circumcision and uncircumcision, that really wasn't a factor in when the Lord came to him. And then how also, being that the promise was given to him as he was uncircumcised, right? But at the same time, what Romans 4 is illustrating is that even though you're circumcised or uncircumcised, or in context, even if you are a believer or somebody that was fulfilling the law or what you would consider the righteousness of living in that time period, it all justified via the faith. It's not really justified about the works or the quote unquote law that you're following or trying to follow. Because at the end of the day, that's what Abraham illustrates, is that just because I was uncircumcised, Lord still came and told me I was going to be a father over many nations. He gave me that promise. So it's to say that either way it go, the faith is what essentially justifies us all. And through Jesus, we're able to be justified, meaning we're able, as believer and non-believer, at the root of it, to get and receive grace and or salvation from the Father through faith and our belief in him. All right. So that's essentially what Romans 4 is. And after I've been reading and meditating on it a couple days. I'm gonna tap into my girl tonight. We're gonna talk about it. But before I talk to her about it, I just like kind of just speaking what he spoke to me. And again, please put in the comments if he, what he say to you. What I said, you rocking with it, or you feel like, you got a little tidbit, or you got anything that you want to add to it. If you want to correct what I said, anything like that, please interact, engage. I'm always learning, trying to learn, trying to get better. This only gonna help me, help us understand, and be able to use wisdom, discernment. At the end of the day, I look at it as good counsel when somebody corrects or gives me some insight into, what I'm talking about a little more in depth. But yeah, pretty much, as I read that, the Lord put on me to come on here and talk about what hit me was, we separate, but we equal. And when I say separate, but equal, you probably heard, the last time you heard something like that was probably segregation time. Was that Brown versus the Board of Education, or Plessy versus Ferguson, or something like that? But yeah, we separate but equal, man. And I just think that from a Christian standpoint, Christian body, I feel like this joint was really powerful, because we get so caught up in following, living righteous and following and looking at how we're living, that we start coming off like, almost shielded and guarded to individuals that are unbelievers, that haven't come to Christ yet, haven't gotten to know him, that aren't aware of him, and in our society today, like that Joan is a little tough because it's so much stuff and sin is, and granted, not saying sin ain't always been there, but sin is something that's so visually accessible to these young people. So like, being that that's something that they are easily accessible to, um it's a thing that we kind of get in a space of like, well, we automatically, like, we know that's wrong. Granted, we supposed to be correcting each other in regards of accountability in the faith, but we can't be so, I would say, corrective, if that's the word, or so for lack of better words, assertive in regards to how we're correcting these young people, that we lose them in regards of understanding that we once were there. Like, we once were a person that was uncircumcised. And when I say that, I'm representing, we was once somebody that was, quote unquote, in the eyes and the image of our people, we were someone that was unsaved, or we were someone that wasn't righteous or living righteous, right? Just as Abraham, right? At the time, again, I reiterate, at the time the Lord came to him and gave him the promise about being the father of many nations, like, he was uncircumcised, right? So in that's like, you didn't fulfill the law of what the Christian, what the righteous person was supposed to do. So fast forward now, we have to take that same, to understand that and keep that in our thought processes when we're out here sharing the gospel, doing our ministry and just living our lives, that we're able to communicate that and exemplify that, and have that heart as well as that demeanor that a kid or somebody that's a non-believer, or I mean, even going to say a kid, it can be an adult as well that's a non-believer, that they can relate in regards to understanding that, hey, I once was a non-believer at some point as well. Or even if you wasn't a non-believer, you were somebody that wasn't living righteous and you wasn't following the Lord I would say completely yet. So once people can know that and understand that, then it's, you have a, I would say, a better chance of being able to communicate with them, and they've been able to receive what you're saying, right? Like, it's hard to receive something from somebody you can't relate to. Like, if we have nothing in common, it's hard for me to really listen to what you're saying and to really to buy it in. That's just the nature of it, right? So that's kind of excuse me, what the Lord uh led me to say. It's a letter to encourage everybody to know that, especially Christians, we separate, but we equal. And I say separate because at the time, non-believer and believer, we not at the same right there, but we're still the same in regards to, through Jesus, we're able to both have the faith and be able to receive the salvation and the grace that he has given us. So we're separate. And this is for a believer and a non-believer. And I'm coming to the non-believer home because, this is a opportunity to be like, hey man, look, we separate or whatever. You may feel like, hey, I ain't no Christian, or I ain't no person that believe in whatever, blah, blah, blah. But through faith, we're equal. You the same. We the same. You just don't know it yet. It's a time, it's a thing, a process that deliverance comes over time. Like, it's a process that we all go through, everybody's going to go through. And Lord willing, I know that everybody's going to go at a different pace. And I pray that you don't take forever to realize, because time is something we're not in control of, right? I think that we get lost in that. We got to understand that there are no guarantees, right? Like, we got to understand that this breath that I'm taking could be the very last breath that I'm taking, right? And at the same time, on the flip side of that, we have to, as a Christian, as a believer, no one is better or worse than the other. We have to understand that. Like Jesus came and became the law when he chose to come live a perfect life. And he's the only example of that, right? And not only did he decide to live the perfect life, he decided to lay that life down, that was sinless and flawless, right? So that is something that we all have to understand, that believer or non-believer, just because just like Abraham, just because you were circumcised that didn't mean you were righteous. And you know, just because, there were people who weren't, didn't mean that they weren't righteous. Right. So same thing here. Just because we're a believer, that don't make us perfect. Just because you're a non-believer, that don't mean you are unworthy of being somebody that is receptive or able to receive the grace and the faith and or favor of the Lord. Right. Because again, uh like I said, this don't just keep standing out to me that Abraham was like, he was uncircumcised when God gave him the promise, right? And I would say like that is very much the image of, and I ain't gonna say very much the image, that is the image of most of us. Like that's who we are. Like before we hear a word from God or have an encounter with God, right? We don't know, right? But when we do, then we have a choice to make, just as he did, right? Like in that moment when he got the promise that he was going to be father of many nations, he had to choose. He had a choice to choose. All right, Lord, I believe what you're saying, and I'm gonna follow that. I'm gonna choose faith. Well, I'm gonna say, nah, I ain't gonna mess with that. What you saying, I'm gonna doubt it, and I'm gonna choose flesh. Like we all had that same decision when we have an encounter, we got maybe getting told by grandma, we may you may watch this and may be your first time hearing about the Lord. But at the same time, we hear it at different levels and we experience uh the word at different times. But from that moment when we experience it and hear it, we had opportunity. Then from that point on, we can't make no excuse for it. We're constantly either going to choose the faith portion of it, just as Abraham did, or we're going to choose the flesh portion of it. We're going to continue to say, hey, you know, I'm going to keep putting it off, keep putting it off. Well, what they saying, it's all good. But I mean, I got time. I got time, I'm gonna figure it out at some point. I'm getting right. I'm gonna do it, and I'm making no progress on it. I'm just saying something, and I'm putting no action in what I'm saying, right? So we all had that same type of decision to make because many of us stay in this place forever, like, and that's what the Lord wanted me to come tell you, like, wake us up that just myself in particular as well, like it's a constant thing that we going through every day, like. Don't get in a place where we're gonna constantly keep saying, "Hey, I'm gonna get right tomorrow." That ain't the place we need to be. Like, don't be in a constant place of saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be right tomorrow." You know what? I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna do it right. And you saying that every single day, every single time, every single opportunity you get when you fall, when you do something that you know ain't right, when you do something shady or whatever, you say like, I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna do right tomorrow. Well, I mean, how many more times you gonna keep saying you're gonna do right tomorrow until there ain't no tomorrow, right? Um, like constantly pushing it off, pushing off, putting off when I'm gonna say, all right, man, I'm gonna make the decision, I'm gonna follow you. Like, Lord, I'm gonna follow you. And it don't mean I'm about to be perfect, but however, I'm making a decision right now to strive to be perfect. I'm gonna make a decision right now to strive to resemble what Jesus did. I'm gonna try right now from this point on to challenge myself and every day of my life, every moment of my life, to try to make a decision to resemble and to have an image of righteousness. That's the decision that us as believers, us as Christians, that's a decision we make, and that's what we got to do. You know what I'm saying? So like, we get so accustomed in the fact of the graciousness and the forgiveness that the Lord just willingly just gives us, right? That we undeserving of it. We get so accustomed and used to that we feel like, I mean, hey, it's almost like it's expected. So uh we don't feel like we need to take a moment to make a decision right now because we feel like, I mean, at the end of the day, he gonna give me another one. But the fact of the matter is that we can't take that for granted, right? It's a thing that he shows that because that's just who he is. But being that he gonna continue to do that, at some point, the word also challenges that, hey, hell is real, bro. Like, just because, hey, I show you who I am, right? I keep giving you opportunity. I keep showing you and telling you, hey, I keep rescuing you. Like, this is your opportunity. He gives us opportunity to make a choice and decision, just as he did Abraham. You're gonna choose faith, you're gonna choose flesh, right? Like, he gives us a choice to make. So if you constantly keep saying, hey, I'm gonna make it tomorrow, and shoot, we don't know who in control of tomorrow, at some point that tomorrow gonna run out. And when that junk run out, you already, I mean, sad but true, that man ain't lied. So hell is real. So you gonna go there because you didn't decide at no moment to believe in your heart, to believe and confess with your mouth and with your actions that he is Lord and that you tried to make the decision to be better. That's all he asking for. This Joan ain't nothing hard. Like I'm not saying the call and the following, the decision is hard. Righteousness, doing the right thing is hard. But I'm saying the salvation and being able to connect with him is not hard. He makes that very much easy and accessible. Just, hey, Lord, I love you. I need you. Please, I know you died for me. I need you as my savior. I want to receive you right now. Like, and I'm gonna believe it from this day forward, and I'm gonna follow you. Like, I'm gonna trust you. I'm gonna have faith in you. That's all he want. That's it, right? Like, but at some point, like, if we continue to say, like, well, I'm gonna get right tomorrow, or I'm gonna keep making the same decisions and keep living the same way with no conviction and nothing I'm doing, that is gonna be something that he not gonna rock with, right? So that's why faith is so powerful, right? Like we have to understand that with faith and from faith, we get opportunity to be right with him, right? And if I continue to ignore and deny him when he's trying to give me an opportunity, then I made my decision, right? Like he not gonna beg me, right? Just like you ain't gonna beg nobody when you doing, like, hey, I'm not gonna beg you to have a relationship with me, right? I'm not gonna force you to have a relationship with me. I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be true. I'm gonna be transparent. I'm gonna have open arms, but I'm not gonna force you to have a relationship with me. So that's why faith is so powerful. That's why belief is so powerful. That's all he asked for. And I know it's wild, but I just need you to believe for an ounce of it. That's all I'm coming on here to encourage you to do. When we get mad and everything, just understand to yourself, hey, today I'm trying to be that image. I'm trying to die to myself today. When I'm getting mad, when it feels like something ain't going right, understand that that's my call as the Christian, to be that example, right? What that look like? It may look like holding the door for somebody. It may look like greeting somebody with a smile when I don't feel like it. It may be like, just being a good person and just giving all I got, what I have. That's it. What Martin Luther King say, right? If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, just keep moving. I know it's a bit of a different contextual standpoint when I'm talking about that, but at the end of the day, it just means keep moving forward. And to keep moving forward, regardless of your circumstance, what that look like is being positive. And being positive when it's dead or when it seems like it ain't right, that's being a light. And being a light, that's what the Lord called us to do, right? Because darkness can't lead darkness, right? If you really think that can be the case, let the lights go out when a storm comes and see how dark it is, right? But when you light that match in that darkness or have that flashlight and it's pitch black, it'll show you what you need to find. But just wait and keep doing what you're doing. I'm encouraging you. God bless y'all. Love y'all. Until next time. Peace.